This happened when I was just 8 years old, the youngest of 3 siblings with a 10-year age gap. One night, I was jolted awake by a commotion downstairs, my parents' voices raised in a panicked frenzy. 8-year-old me, naturally afraid, cracked the door open, only to be shooed back to bed by a stressed-out mom. Now, I wasn't one to pry, but the silence that followed the slammed front door was deafening. Curiosity warred with obedience, and as I tried to drift back to sleep, a distinct sound echoed, the front door closing again, followed by a set of quiet footsteps. Logic kicked in. My older brother, Chris, was notorious for late-night fridge raids. Relief washed over me. The night wore on, punctuated by the creak of floorboards and the rattle of cabinets. My 8-year-old brain conjured a perfectly reasonable explanation. Chris, being a teenager, was just being, well, a teenager. Eventually, the footsteps reached the top of the stairs, pausing right outside my door. Terror prickled my skin as the knob turned slowly, silently. I lay frozen, eyes squeezed shut, as the dark figure opened the door a crack. Every name tumbled out of my mouth, from Chris to Mom to Dad, desperate for a response. But there was none. Just the sound of the door closing again. Confusion battled fear. Assuming it was Dad checking on me, I finally worked up the courage to peek downstairs. The sight that greeted me was pure nightmare fuel, a tall figure, silhouetted in the darkness, standing in the middle of the kitchen. "Dad?" I squeaked, my voice barely a whisper. A deep, guttural voice rumbled back, "Go back upstairs." Scrambling back to my room, I dove under the covers, heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Minutes turned into an eternity. Then, the unmistakable sound of the front door. My parents. Relief flooded me as I raced down the stairs. Now, here's where things get weird. My parents, frantic with worry, explained Chris had been in an accident. But later, I learned the accident happened hours before, leading them to rush out, forgetting to lock the door in their haste. The pieces clicked into place. The commotion, the footsteps, the figure in the doorway. It wasn't Chris. It was someone else, someone who had entered our unlocked home. The police were called, the house was searched, but no trace of the intruder was found. Nothing was stolen, but the chilling reality of a stranger in our home left an indelible mark on my 8-year-old self. This story serves as a stark reminder, always double-check your locks, folks. And if you hear something bump in the night, curiosity might not always be the best policy. Sleep tight, if you can. This happened when I was just a 10-year-old newbie, the awkward 5th grader navigating the treacherous social jungle of a new elementary school. Making friends was tough, but luckily, I stumbled upon Dan, a fellow kid who, unlike me, wasn't a prisoner of the school system. Then came Alex, a doorbell-ringing mystery who lived in the house on the corner, the rundown one that seemed perpetually shrouded in neglect. Ignoring the initial red flag of a messy basement that smelled like a feline graveyard, I agreed to a video game session at his place. The fun was short-lived, replaced by a creeping unease fueled by Alex's clingy behavior. Thankfully, Dan, the voice of reason, emerged. Turns out, Alex wasn't just a couple of years older, he was a full-fledged 12-year-old with a reputation for being, well, a little out there. Needless to say, I steered clear. But Alex, it seemed, wasn't as easily deterred. He kept ringing the doorbell, his visits becoming increasingly unwelcome. One night, a chilly September breeze sent shivers down my spine. The window, undoubtedly closed earlier, was wide open. Then, a poke at my foot, followed by a chilling whisper, "It's just me, Alex." Terror locked my jaw. Apparently, Alex's definition of hanging out involved scaling my window and using my bed as a marital escape hatch. Needless to say, the boy got a swift eviction notice. My parents, bless their hearts, tried to reason with Alex's parents, but were met with a wall of denial and deranged laughter. So, the only defense left was to ignore the persistent late-night knocks that sent my heart into overdrive. One night, the symphony of fear reached a crescendo. A sickening crack shattered the silence. My window, now a spiderweb of broken glass. Emerging from the wreckage, like a scene from a horror movie, was Alex. This time, it wasn't just a broken window. This time, it was a line crossed, a primal fear unleashed. My scream echoed through the house, and this time, my dad wasn't having any of it. He chased Alex back to his house, fury burning in his eyes. Somehow, a deal was struck, Alex's parents coughed up the repair cost, and in return, the police stayed out of it. That was the last I heard of Alex, though the chilling image of him, framed by the broken window, remains etched in my memory. What were his intentions? Was I just a plaything to him? The answer, thankfully, remains a mystery. The year was 2009, Houston, Texas. The college was undergoing a massive renovation, a ghost town by night with just me, my partner, and the occasional security guard for company. Radio signals were kaput thanks to the maze of buildings, so we had a system, check-ins every 2 hours in the central courtyard. One night, I decided to mess with my partner. Picture this, I'm creeping across an office area, laser pointer aimed at her window, ready to unleash a little red dot chaos. But as I turn a corner, a jolt of ice shoots down my back. A 3-foot-tall shadow darts across the hallway, flitting from office to office. Gun drawn, heart hammering, I burst into the room. Empty. No desk, no chair, no mischievous shadow person. Just nothing. Needless to say, the prank was forgotten. Weeks later, a security guard joined our nightly patrol. During our 4 a.m. rendezvous, I head towards the self-locking push bar door leading to the courtyard. Partner and guard are already waiting. I hold the bar open, letting them in, then step outside to talk to dispatch. The guard casually flicks his cigarette butt into a nearby bin. "Hey," he says, "gotta grab my keys from my post." Partner and I head back to the door. She pulls the handle. Locked. Deadbolt. Confusion sets in. Did the guard lock it as a joke? Except, he didn't have his keys. And deadbolts don't magically relock. This wasn't the only oddity. Doors slamming shut on their own, whispers in empty rooms, fleeting shadows flitting past windows. The campus, once quiet, became a symphony of unsettling occurrences. One night, patrolling a lonely hallway lined with storage rooms, a mechanical room door swings open with a groan. Weapon drawn, I back away slowly. No one emerges. Just an empty, echoing room. My partner arrives, and together, we clear the space. Nothing. No way in, no way out. Just an impossible vacancy. There were countless other incidents, each one chipping away at my sanity. A white van vanishing into the first floor of the parking garage, never to be seen again. These weren't pranks, not by a long shot. This college held a darkness that defied explanation. We never did uncover the source of the strangeness. But those nights, walking the deserted halls, a primal fear gnawed at me. This wasn't a place for the faint of heart. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes, the scariest things aren't the monsters under the bed, but the unseen entities that lurk in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to send shivers down your spine. This happened when I was just a teenager, 16 years old and fresh off getting my first job, slinging burgers at a local diner. My parents, bless their frugal hearts, let me use their ancient car. It was a sputtering, rusty beast, but it got me where I needed to go, most of the time. One night, after a particularly long shift, I hopped in the car, eager to get home. The drive was usually a breezy 15 minutes, nothing but deserted country roads and whispering woods on either side. But tonight, something felt different. As I cruised along, the car sputtered, coughed, and then, died. Silence slammed down like a coffin lid. Panic started to gnaw at me. Stuck on a deserted road, phone dead, and no houses in sight. My parents knew the car was a gamble, but I hoped they'd realize I was late and come looking. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The woods, once peaceful, now seemed to press in closer, every rustle of leaves a potential threat. Then, I saw him. A figure, half hidden behind a tree, emerged from the woods on my right. A bearded man, his face obscured by shadows, just watching. My heart hammered a frantic tattoo against my ribs. He didn't move, didn't make a sound, just kept that unnerving vigil. After what felt like an hour, it was probably a minute, he disappeared back into the woods. Relief washed over me, fragile and fleeting. 10 minutes later, the silence shattered again. The figure reappeared, this time closer, walking with a slow, deliberate purpose. As he reached the edge of the road, a chilling truth dawned on me. This wasn't some harmless wanderer. He was coming for me. He stopped a hair's breadth from my car, his shadowed face mere inches from my window. His silence was worse than any scream. He tried every door, rattling the handles, his movements methodical, almost predatory. Then came the banging. He pounded on the windows, his face contorted with a rage I couldn't understand. Trapped, I buried my head in my hands, tears stinging my eyes. Every creak, every groan of the car sent fresh waves of terror through me. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, a miracle unfolded. Headlights pierced the darkness, growing closer. The car honked repeatedly, its shrill cry a beautiful symphony in that moment. It was my parents. The bearded figure vanished back into the woods like a phantom. Relief flooded me as I stumbled out of the car and into their waiting arms. We called the police, but the woods yielded nothing. The man, whoever he was gone without a trace. That night, my car may have broken down, but my luck, thankfully, held. This experience left an indelible mark. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes, the darkest dangers lurk not in the shadows, but in the figures that step out of them. This happened a few years back, at my suburban house. Just another ordinary morning, getting ready for the office grind. Hopped in my car, parked in the detached garage, and nothing. Dead battery? Nope, this car was young and healthy. Panic started to simmer, but luckily, rideshare apps are a lifesaver. Work was uneventful, thank goodness, but the dead car loomed large in my mind. Back home, the moment of truth. Garage door creaked open, revealing my poor car. Popped the hood, ready to play mechanic. Spoiler alert, I'm not. Engine looked like a toddler had taken a sledgehammer to it. Beyond messed up. Who? Why? How? My brain was a whirlwind of confusion and frustration. Then, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Nestled under the shelves, a figure. A man. He scrambled up, hammer clutched in his hand, like a crazed handyman gone rogue. My fight or flight kicked in, flight it was. Burst out of the garage, slammed the door shut, and locked myself inside the house. Seconds ticked by, agonizingly slow. Then came the booming sound of the hammer against the window. Heart pounding, I dialed 911. The operator's voice, a beacon of hope as I relayed the surreal situation. Crashes from the front door confirmed my worst fears. He was trying to get in. Adrenaline surged. Sprinting to the back door, I bolted out into the night, the chilling sound of breaking glass echoing behind me. By the time my frantic neighbor spotted me, the police were en route. Relief washed over me as they swarmed the house. Minutes later, they emerged with the perp in tow. Disheveled, mumbling, probably high on something. My house, well, let's just say it looked like a war zone. Furniture, picture frames, everything, hammered to smithereens. Thankfully, the police apprehended him. Still, the whole ordeal was a terrifying reminder that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places. So, yeah, next time you head to your garage, maybe take a good look around. You never know who, or what, might be waiting. This story is all about good intentions, a creepy twist, and the unsettling feeling of not knowing what the heck just happened. So, picture this, rain lashing down like a rogue car wash, blurring the city lights into hazy streaks. The streets, eerily deserted, straight out of a horror movie. And then you see her, a lone figure, soaked to the bone, desperation etched on her face. My heart tugged, she was waving frantically, a universal plea for help. Pulling over, I offered her a ride. She climbed in, a shivering mess, her teeth chattering a frantic rhythm. Greetings were attempted, but her language was a mystery, beautiful, yet utterly foreign to my ears. Words might have been a barrier, but gratitude shone brightly in her eyes. Despite the language gap, we managed. After a few tries, she blurted, "Metro station," a word that cut through the confusion like a beacon. It was far, especially in this weather, but hey, everyone has their reasons. No questions asked, I turned towards the city center. The rain morphed into a relentless drum solo on the roof, making the journey long and unsettling. But I pressed on, determined to get her where she needed to be. A gas station stop was necessary, the flickering lights casting an eerie glow on the deserted pumps. Wrapped in my jacket, I ventured out, the silence broken only by the rain's insistent patter. Calling out for an attendant, I got nothing but an echo. The whole place felt abandoned, the office light strobing in a disconcerting rhythm. No help for it. I decided to fill it myself, eager to get back on the road. Returning to the car, my stomach lurched. The girl was gone. The passenger seat, empty. Maybe she got impatient, found another ride. Maybe the metro station pull was too strong. Shrugging, I got back in, the rain still a relentless companion. Back on the road, the city lights blurred once again. Then, a flash of familiarity, a figure by the roadside, exactly where I'd picked her up before. My mind raced with confusion and fear. I slowed down, but didn't stop, a million questions swirling in my head. A quick glance in the rearview mirror, there she was, rain-soaked, bathed in the car's red glow. And then it happened. A laugh. Not a giggle, but a full-blown, chilling cackle. As if the entire situation, my confusion, my fear, was one big cosmic joke. My blood ran cold. I slammed on the gas, the car lurching forward as I fled, not daring to look back. Finally, the familiar sight of my driveway. Parking the car, I stumbled out, heart hammering a frantic beat. The warmth of my house, a stark contrast to the storm outside, offered little comfort. The image of the girl, laughing in the rain, replayed in my mind, sending fresh shivers down my spine. Who was she? Where was she going? Why did she reappear? The questions echoed in the quiet house, unanswered riddles in the wake of a strange, unsettling encounter. This night, the rain wouldn't be the only thing keeping me awake. The mystery of the laughing girl would linger long after the storm subsided. So next time you see someone stranded on the road, a part of you might want to help. But remember this story, and ask yourself, is it really worth the risk? Love these stories? Listen to other scary stories with rain sounds. Click on the video on your screen.